Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of Part Talk. Thank you for joining me. I appreciate each and every one of you. No, EV Utopia of Norway is not what you think. Last week I covered a video entitled Shortage of Mechanics Forces High Repair and Insurance Costs. I don't get thousands of views, so it's very easy to see the comments that come through. One such comment on that particular video was someone deciding to use Norway as a beacon of hope, unlike so many others. Just a quick search on Norway EV and you will see a slew of articles and features praising Norway of their EV success. All of Norway's energy is from their vast dependence on oil, and despite an 80% increase in the amount of EVs sold within the last 3 to 5 years. And I've been on this EV train trying to educate unsuspected buyers that EVs are to be thoroughly thought through before you take out your hard-earned cash to invest in one. But ever so often, Norway is being used as the poster child for EV adoption. And here's one such comment I got. Let's read what it says. The first part says, you don't hear anything from Norway where over 75% of vehicles on the road are EVs. No complaints from dealer or maintenance shops. Most dealers deal with EVs already, and they're much simpler than gas versions. Teslas are different as they don't have the dealer network and seem to not support part sales as the same as other manufacturers. Not supporting part sales can't be a good thing. And he goes on to say, my Hyundai EV, for example, is very easy to get replacement parts if needed from my local dealer. Same with Leafs at Nissan, etc. I've covered a number of videos outlining the problems a lot of other owners of both Hyundai and Nissan had over the number of years of owning some of them, and they are adamant they will never ever go back to those vehicles. The first part of the comment I'm going to deal with on this topic of Norway, which led me to go and find some articles to prove that all is not actually greener on the other side. And this article from the New York Times says, in Norway, electric vehicle future has already arrived. About 80% of new cars sold in Norway are battery powered. As a result, the air is cleaner, the streets are quieter, and the grid hasn't collapsed. But problems with unreliable chargers persist. About 110 miles south of Oslo along a highway lined with pine and birch trees, a shiny fueling station offers a glimpse of future where electric vehicles rule. Chargers far outnumbered gasoline pumps at the service area, operated by Circle K, a retail chain that got its start in Texas. During summer weekends when Oslo residents flee to country cottages, the line to recharge sometimes backs up down the off-ramp. Now think about that. Imagine the frustration waiting to get energy just to go about your business. Just imagine having an emergency. We have TikTok videos of EVs lined up to get juice, like kids waiting to see Santa Claus on a Christmas Day parade. Now, Marit Bergsland, who works at the store, has had to learn how to help frustrated customers connect to chargers, in addition to her regular duties. Flipping burgers and ringing up purchases of salty licorice, a popular treat. Sometimes we have to give them a coffee to calm down, she said. Now imagine people are flipping out and she basically has to intervene because people are suffering from both range anxiety and the time they have to be waiting to recharge their vehicles to go about their business. It goes on and says last year 80% of new car sales in Norway were electric, putting the country at the vanguard of the shift to battery powered mobility. It has also turned Norway into an observatory for figuring out what the electric vehicle revolution might mean for the environment, workers, and life in general. The country will end the sale of internal combustion engine cars in 2025. What is evidently going to happen in Norway is that they will spend a considerable amount of time maintaining existing gas-powered vehicles to do jobs that EVs will possibly cannot do. And the government will have no other choice but to offer exemptions to companies and individuals who can't get an EV to assist with heavy-duty tasks. Norway began promoting electric vehicles in the 1990s to support Think, a homegrown electric vehicle startup that Ford Motor owned for a few years. Battery-powered vehicles were exempted from value-added and import taxes and from highway tolls. So they had to have campaigns and promotions in place in order to promote the existing EV adoption, much like we in the West are trying to do. But they started from 1995, a clear 34 years ahead of our time. But we want to do it in 10 years and less. Here it also says, the policies put Norway more than a decade ahead of the United States. The Biden administration aims for 50% new vehicles to be electric by 2030, a milestone Norway passed in 2019. And if I should bring up another article here, it says Norway's oil demand hasn't crashed despite record EV market share. The fact that a record 90% share of all new car sales in Norway are electric has failed to make any impact on the country's oil demand, indicating that hopes of rising EV uptake making an immediate dent in global oil demand are unrealistic. Last year, 82.4% of all new passenger cars sold in Norway were fully electric, from 79.3% in 2022. Yes, it has been increasing, but so far in 2024, global EV sales have been falling. Now, this share has jumped to over 90% this year, but the impact on Norway's oil demand has been negligible. Bank UBS said in a note this week carried by investing.com. Norway has risen to become an EV powerhouse, also thanks to generous financial incentives, which has been partly funded by the government pension fund Global, the world's largest sovereign wealth fund that has amassed its wealth from sales of oil and gas, UBS noted. In other words, taxpayers have been funding the EV adoption campaign and ownership, surging EV demand, forcing EV demand in Norway out of the taxpayers' coffers, like what we're doing here in the United States and Canada. And Norwegians, like other consumers, are concerned about vehicle range, and many opt for hybrids or gasoline-fueled vehicles to travel longer distances, according to the bank. So most people in Norway, what it is saying here, they own probably more than one vehicle. Electric vehicles to help move around because of the government mandate, and they have a gas-powered vehicle to take them on long distances because they suffer from range anxiety. Nothing new under the sun. Another possibility is that electric vehicles are used for short distances, but Norwegians still rely on fossil fuels to cover longer distances. I said that before I even read it. UBS said in the note. Now, the rest of his comments doesn't go well with my experiences. It says most dealers deal with EVs already, and they are much more simpler than the gas versions. Teslas are different, as they don't have dealer network and seem to not support part sales as the same as other manufacturers. Just since late last year or early this year, over 4,000 dealers wrote to President Biden sharing their concerns about going fully electric and that they are not equipped and ready for it. Sales have been falling ever since, and the layoffs continue. Stellantis, GM, Ford, and now Tesla is going to lay off over 10% of their global workforce. What does that tell you? He goes on and says, my Hyundai EV, for example, is very easy to get replacement parts if needed from my local dealer. Same with Leafs and Nissan, etc. From my personal experience, I've covered a number of EVs here, and most of them are Hyundai having battery problems. If the mainstream media doesn't get involved, those customers will be out on limbo. Same thing with Leafs. I have a personal friend of mine who got a brand new Ioniq 5 Hyundai full electric vehicle, and he had a slight fender bender. It has been 2 months and he's still awaiting parts. Same thing goes with another friend of mine who owns a Tesla. Ever so often Tesla sends software updates over the air to these particular vehicles, and one day he received a software update and his car wouldn't start. His car sat there for up to a week, maybe more than a week, before Tesla came, took the car away and replaced the battery. It's all under warranty, but the fact of the matter is, if he were somewhere else, what would have happened? Same thing. His next part says EV sales are not falling. 2023 was the highest sales of EVs worldwide, and 2024 will be higher yet again. 2024 is not out yet. We are yet to see it, and the sales have been falling because people are refusing to purchase EVs until a lot of the infrastructure problems and the range anxiety problems are solved. And again, disposable income is the most important factor in selling a car. On this channel, I do not encourage anyone to take out $45, $50, and $60,000 to put themselves in further debt to buy that supposedly dream car. It's either a Toyota Corolla versus a Audi A6. Both of them practically go the same place. Why put yourself in a debt to have a average monthly payment of $750 when you can wait and have an average monthly payment of over $200, little over $200? It makes economically no sense. Disposable income buys cars, and we try to keep it real on this channel. He says, I'm not sure what is happening in Britain, but there seems to be a glut of false information being spread, which is disappointment. What I did was to refer to an article which I went through, and this is what I do on this channel. I do reaction to things that are happening in the automotive industry and how it will actually impact us. But mostly what we're seeing in today's social environment, people don't like to talk about things that they are uncomfortable discussing, and the list goes on. I'm going to tell you the truth. I'm from the after sales background, which is parts and service, and I tell people always look at the cost of maintenance before signing on that lease or finance arrangement buying a vehicle. That's basically what it is. But as usual, let me know your thoughts in the comments below, and let's have a healthy debate. Remember to grab a copy of my ebook, The Parts Manager Guide. Please smash that like button on your way out. It will only take you 1.5 seconds to do so. Until next time.